So a friend of mine is going through a really tough career change, and it got me thinking. If you're feeling like you're standing at a crossroads, confused, maybe a little scared, and just totally overwhelmed by the whole chaotic mess of it all, then this one's for you. We're going to walk through a super practical guide for navigating a major career transition.
So let me just ask you, straight up, are you rethinking everything? Not just your job, but the whole career path you've been on for years? It's a heavy question, I know, but if you're asking it, trust me, you are not alone. Let's just be real for a second. Changing careers is chaotic. It feels like a storm of emotions, and everyone's got an opinion, right? But here's the secret, the key insight. Even though the process itself is messy, your thinking about it doesn't have to be. We can bring some order to that chaos.
Okay, let's get into it. The very first big mindset shift you've got to make is this. Stop acting like a frantic job seeker and start acting like a detective. Your mission isn't just to find any job, no. It's to find clues about yourself to solve the case of what's next for me.
Does this sound familiar to you? I mean, it's the dream, right? We all say we want this beautiful integration of our work, our personal growth, our family, all with, presence and intention. It sounds amazing, but what's the reality for most of us?
Well, the reality is usually this. We're aspiring to something sustainable and real, but we're living a 60, 70, maybe even an 80-hour work week. The math just doesn't work. And that gap, that huge canyon between the life we say we want and the one we're actually living, that's often the very thing that triggers a massive career change. And this right here, this is the turning point. We have to stop guessing what might make us happy and start gathering cold, hard evidence. A detective wouldn't guess who the culprit is. They analyze the evidence. You need to do the same thing with your own career. Let's look at the data.
So, what's the most important data we can collect? It's all about your own energy. Forget job titles and salaries for just a minute. The real question is, what activities actually fuel you, and what activities leave you feeling totally, completely empty? This is the core of your entire investigation.
Think about it like a simple balance sheet for your energy. On one side, you have your energizers, things like building something new, mentoring people, doing work that actually means something to you. These are the things that make you feel alive. And then, on the other side, the drainers. Corporate politics, that constant work-life battle, endless red tape. These are the things that just crush your soul, even if you're good at them.
And I want to pause on that corporate politics one for a second. If that feels like a massive drain for you, I want you to know you are so not alone. In fact, research shows that a whopping 40% of senior leaders who leave a company after, say, 15 or 20 years, leave because they are just plain exhausted by the politics. Okay, so you started gathering your evidence. The natural instinct is to jump right into action, to start applying for jobs. But what if I told you the smartest move is to do nothing? It's this idea of strategic inaction. Let's talk about why the best decision might be to make no decision at all, at least for now.
See, any career transition follows a pretty predictable energy roller coaster. In those first couple of months, you are just surviving. You're handing things off, you're dealing with all the emotions, your energy is at rock bottom. It's only after you've had time to truly unplug and reset that your energy and your clarity start to come back.
And the data on this is crystal clear. The quality of your decisions when you're in that fog of a transition is, frankly, terrible compared to after you've had a real reset. I mean, think about it. You wouldn't make a major life decision when you have the flu and you're exhausted, right? So why would you decide the future of your entire career from that same state?
And the evidence just keeps piling up. Look at this. Executives who actually take the time for a real break, a sabbatical, are way more likely to find a role that truly fits them next. Rushing into the next thing often just means you're signing up to repeat the same old patterns that made you miserable in the first place.
So, let's say you've taken the pause, you're rested, you're ready. How do you actually make a decision you're not going to regret later? Well, the key isn't about finding more options. It's about having a better way to think about the options you already have.
You need to create your own personal brain trust, or like a board of advisors. But here's the twist, and this is the cool part. These advisors aren't other people. They are different versions of you, different mindsets that you need to adopt to challenge your own thinking.
It's actually pretty simple. You run every potential decision through these three filters. First, you put on your detective hat. What are the cold, hard facts?
Then you bring in your inner contrarian who asks, okay, but what if you're totally wrong about this? What are you assuming? And finally, your inner pragmatist swoops in to ask, can this actually work? What about the money? This whole framework is designed to protect you from your own biases and blind spots.
Okay, that was a lot of theory. I get it. So let's bring this all down to earth. Here are 2 super simple, practical exercises you can do like today to start your investigation and get some of that clarity we've been talking about.
First up is the values clarification exercise. Just look back at your career. Pinpoint those absolute peak moments that fired you up, and the lowest of the low moments that just drained you dry. And then for each one, ask why. What core value was being honored in those good times, and what value was being stepped on in the bad times? This is how you create your non-negotiable list of must-haves and must-avoids for your future.
And second, I want you to use the decision receipt. For any new opportunity that comes your way, you fill out this simple template. It forces you to write down the facts, check them against your values, and run it by your inner brain trust. It brings structure and accountability to what usually feels like a purely emotional process. Think of it like a receipt for your choices, proof that you did the work.
So, there you have it. That's the framework. It's really about shifting from panic to process, from guessing to gathering real evidence about yourself. You now have the tools to be a detective and diagnose your past. So the only real question left is, what are you going to prescribe for your future? The power to write that prescription is 100% in your hands.